What's going on YouTube? I'm back here again. The 67-day speaking challenge, as you all know if you've watched any of my videos. And so what I'd like to talk about today is the idea of how people think things are impossible. So when they hear these great ideas, or I call them great ideas, people think of them as crazy. And so I highly disregard the fact when someone tells me that I can't do something. And actually when someone tells me I can't do something, that motivates me to go ahead and take action on that, because you see, it's like the 500-year-old archaic mind where people don't believe that new things can happen. And that's the whole concept of evolution. That's the most powerful concept of all time, distinguished by Richard Dawkins, these other great scientists of our time, Harvard professors. It's not Newton's third law or string theory that's the most powerful concept of all time. It's adaptation. And so we have to adapt to society. We have to create new things in the world. Peter Thiel said the most contrarian question that he can think of, and the answer to that is technology is the place where we're going to succeed and grow in society. That's how we're going to find our new, better version of the world. And so I was just reading a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and he says one of the differences between these rich and poor people is the thing that these poor people think that all these different concepts that people with great minds, these creative minds, think of, they see them as impossible. And so that's where it's the 80-20 rule, the 10% rule, these things about people where 20% of the greatest information, or 20% of information contains like 80% of like the greatest truth. And so I'd like to think about the self-made billionaire effect too, and like there's the great thinkers, the great leaders have duality of minds. They can think about two different things on the opposite end of the spectrum. And so people with great imagination also need to have empathetic vision. And so you need to think about the needs of other people, but also be able to have great imagination and see how you can make it work from there. And so think about what people need for like a product, say, and then find a way that can make it possible. Never say something's impossible, because you can find a way to do it. And so you need to have sound judgment also in how you go about doing what you're doing. And so nothing's impossible, but I hate people who like to think small. Why shut me down on my great ideas when I'm just trying to get out here in the world and do something and make something happen? And that's Justina coming here from Egypt. She's trying to escape bad times so she can make better things happen in the future. She's trying to change the world. She's trying to impact people, right, Justina? In a way, somewhat. She's trying to get a better life, and she thinks that in order to get a better life, she has to move to a different country. So you can do a lot of things. You can move somewhere else in the world and make it happen. Nothing's impossible, right? Nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible. So nothing's impossible. Don't believe that stereotypical thing about what the majority of people say. In fact, I think that 9 out of 10 people don't know what the hell they're talking about. So why would you believe them? They don't have enough knowledge to tell you the right thing to do. If someone is going to tell me the right thing to do, it has to be an expert, or else I'm hardly going to believe them unless I'm going to have some sound judgment and actually believe that they're right. And so I'm going to take it into consideration, but most of the time you have to learn from people and avoid their mistakes. What you can do is not learn from people in the way that they're doing it right, but see what they're doing wrong and then go from there and make things happen. And like I said, nothing's impossible. Have the duality of mind concept, the sound judgment paired with great imagination, empathetic vision. You need that all, but nothing's impossible. Never believe that.